Remember to let her into your heart, then you can start to make it better. We all know that song by Paul McCartney, Hey Jude. But that song has a special meaning for me because it literally changed my life. While traveling in India, I met a beautiful 29-year-old German doctor named Eva at the hotel. And during breakfast, I found out that she was intelligent and funny and single. And she was planning to go to the same village festival that I was going to go. So we agreed to meet. 3 days later, 8 o'clock, no Eva. 8:30, no Eva. 9 o'clock, damn you, Eva! So I went over to a restaurant and I go in, and who's there but Eva? Eva, I thought we're supposed to meet at 8 o'clock. That's right. Well, you weren't there. I know. Well, she was sitting with two other Germans, a younger, more handsome guy than me, and an older woman, and they continued speaking German, even though I knew they all spoke English very well. Okay, forget about Eva. The next day, I went to a restaurant for lunch, and they're playing that song, Hey Jude. I've heard it 1,000 times, but this time it was different. It was like Paul was singing directly to me. Hey, Frank, make it bad. Remember to let Eva into your heart. Now, wait a minute, Paul. I'm not going to let Eva into my heart. She's selfish and unkind. She didn't come. She didn't apologize. And she could have spoken English. Then you can start. Okay, Paul. I'll let Eva in my heart, but just 1%, because that's all she deserves. But later I was to find out that the difference between 0 and 1% is not 1, but infinity. After lunch, I walked around the village, and then I saw an amazing thing, an Indian Ferris wheel. Guamlamja. Now, what's an Indian Ferris wheel? There's no motor. Teenagers climb up and grab on the basket and ride it down. And I thought, wow, how cool is that? For dinner, I went to another restaurant, and who's in there but the three jolly Germans? And right away, I could see that there's something going on between Eva and Mr. Handsome. They're smiling and laughing at each other's jokes, and I'm thinking, wow, they're going to be a couple before the night's out. And as the meal ended, Mr. Handsome stands up and grabs the hand of the older woman and says, we're going out in the village. I was shocked. Eva was shocked. And I was alone with Eva. I told her about the Ferris wheel. She said, I want to see that. So we went out into the village. And the atmosphere was magical. There was a puppet show in the square. There were musicians and magicians and vendors. They were selling everything. But one thing you could not see in that village were a man and woman holding hands or touching in any way. It was absolutely forbidden. So we went over and we found the Ferris wheel. And there was a large group of people around it. It was like a giant, gaming wheel in the sky. But it wasn't moving. So we waited and waited, not moving. Finally, we asked an old Indian gentleman, what's going on? Well, you see, the Ferris wheel, it's not moving because it's not balanced. And it's not balanced because nobody wants to get on. And nobody wants to get on because, you see, it's a little dangerous. Well, Eva and I had the same thought. Let's do it. So we start walking, and it's like Moses raised his hands and the crowd parted before us, and we walk on to the basket. There's Eva and me and two little boys, and the teenagers climb up, and it starts going, and just before it starts moving, one of the little boys jumps out. And then it starts moving, and the other little boy, he's trapped, and he's looking over the side, looking for his friend. He's going to kill him later, I'm sure. So we start going around and around. Now, from the outside, it doesn't look like it's going fast. But when you're on it, it feels really fast. So I reached over and I grabbed Ava's hand for support. And we're going around and around. Where we stop, nobody knows, and we end up right on top. And it's the same situation. Nobody wants to get on. We're stuck on top. And there's the full moon, and the warm breeze from the ocean, and the sounds from the festival, and Paul's voice in my ear. So I changed my grip from grip to caress. And I look at Eva, and suddenly all the ice falls away. She's not selfish and unkind. She's just shy and a little afraid. And there's like moonbeams coming out of her eyes. She likes me. And she wants romance as much as I do. I look over and the little boy's still looking over. In fact, we have somehow magically found the only place in that entire village where it would be possible to hold hands. And I feel a surge of power. But there's no movement. Only the opening up of two young hearts. And then the strongest force in the universe takes over. The force of attraction between lovers brings us together into a first shy kiss. But there's time for a second, more sensuous, warm, romantic, wet kiss that lasts forever until finally it starts moving again, around, and finally we come down. And then, only then do I let go of her hand. That was the beginning of a great love in my life. What happened to Ava? That's another story. But after that, I became a playboy. Not playing girls, but playing life. Because I realized that if you can change your won'ts, your can'ts, your impossibles, your nevers, your 0% just to 1%, then miracles can happen. You can move a mountain or a Ferris wheel. And you can change a glacier of ice to a warm, wonderful woman. If you just remember to let the possibilities of life into your heart, then you can start to make it better. Na 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 na. Hey me, everybody, let's go. Na 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 na.